Day morning, 9:20 is the time. Dr. Jacobs, ooh la la, joins us now from the Zoom. Dr. Jacobs, I haven't talked to you in a while. How's life been treating you?
Things, can you hear me? Things are great. How are you?
Oh, it's going well over here. And what better time to talk about getting ourselves, really looking and feeling the best, especially around the holidays.
Yes, exactly. And it is so cold out there today. It's crazy.
This would be a good time to stay inside and do a self-care Monday.
It really would. I think when I'm done with this, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Well, and, we were talking the other day, Stephanie and I, and it was a good point, especially around this time of the year, we see all these ads start to inundate our social media feeds and, Google feeds. We type in maybe, like for me, I typed in what's the best dog harness out there because my dog just ripped through his. And I had about 15 ads from companies I will never hear of again and products that I'll never see again, and that's why we figured let's talk about, the right way to really take care of ourselves and our skin, and doing so through a physician-owned spa.
Right. I think that is so important. Right now and over the last several years, we've seen so many clinics pop up. And when I say clinics, I say that very loosely because these are people who are just renting space at a hair salon or renting space even at a dentist's office. And they're popping up everywhere and I'm seeing them, and they're usually nurses. They're usually operating illegally, which is even scarier in my opinion. So I like what you said is that physician-owned office is super important, but not just a physician-owned office, but the physician is present at the office. Yeah. I think that is truly the most important because you can have a physician that's a medical director, that says, "Oh, I'm in charge of everything," but they really are never there, and they really don't even know anything about aesthetics, and that's really scary.
Well, and that's such a good point too, because especially around this time of the year, it seems like in the beginning of the year, that's when these horror stories start to hit the news cycle. It seems like in regional news, because maybe that's when there's an uptick in gift certificates to these places or what have you. But these folks go in thinking, they're going to go in for a treatment, and the person providing it's using practices that are maybe, number one, not regulated, and number two, might actually even be unauthorized and illegal to do so.
And that's absolutely true. And in Illinois, it's a very gray area when it comes to who can operate and who can do things. Now, like I said, there are a lot of places operating illegally because in Illinois, you do have to have a physician, PA, or nurse practitioner actually talk to the patient and create a doctor-patient relationship beforehand. And why is that important? Well, because these are medical procedures. Right. And it is so important to make sure that the medications you're on are okay. Maybe you have some sort of a medical history, like an autoimmune disorder or something that, you could have a problem with. One of the things, and it's not just about the holidays, but I've seen a lot of weddings going on lately. And one of the things that absolutely, really gets me is that somebody will come in 2-3 weeks before their wedding and want to do a treatment, maybe want to do a filler. And what they don't understand is that it's actually quite dangerous to do, and you need a lot more time. And you don't want just somebody out there going, "Oh, sure, I can do this for you." And then God forbid something goes wrong.
That's such an important point because I think especially in skincare, and I've told you before, I've had my, microdermabrasions in high school because I had really bad cystic acne and all that. So I kind of get a little bit of this. But, I think sometimes when folks go in that have a preconceived notion, they think that this is a menu where maybe we can just pick and choose what we're going to get that day. And that's how this works. And like you said, you hit it right on the head. These are medical procedures. There always are causes and effects to these things. And I can only imagine how many stories that you have of folks' weddings and really not just weddings, but their lives ruined because of these procedures gone wrong.
Right. And it's super scary. I had a gal the other day who was asking me about filler on her nose so TikTok is where everybody gets their information now. So everybody comes in and says, "Hey, I saw this on TikTok. I want to do this." Well, that is the most dangerous place to do filler. And there are nurses out there doing this. And there are very well-trained nurses. So I'm not knocking nurses. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that if you're not trained correctly and appropriately, you shouldn't be doing it. And this is something I don't do, and I am trained correctly and appropriately, but it's such a dangerous area to inject. But they're all over TikTok talking about it. And so everybody thinks that you should just be able to do that. So anything really in the mid face, anything in this area here, even our little folds through here, it's dangerous to do this. And so one of the things when patients are looking at places to go, one thing I would encourage is to ask is wrong, because things do go wrong, and we need to make sure that they have protocols and that they follow these protocols and know what to do.
Well, and if it's okay, let's talk a little bit about your protocols. What's that first appointment look like? Because I'm sure that, you have these questions all the time leading up maybe to that first consultation. But for the folks at home that are curious, what does that look like if I come in and let's just keep up that thing where I'm saying, hey, actually, I got a lot of city miles on me, Dr. Jacobs. I'm like a Honda Accord. I'm needing a facelift. What's that conversation look like?
Well, the interesting thing is the conversation actually starts prior to even walking into the office. So these are points, again, that I want to talk about when you're looking for a provider, what you're looking for. So you're looking at the website, you're looking for patient testimonials, you're looking for before and after photos, because you want to see the work of the person who you're going to go see. Then the continues when you get on the phone with the front desk. And are they friendly? Are they welcoming? This is a very scary thing for patients to decide to go do. So if they feel comfortable on the phone, then definitely coming in and having a consultation is what you want to do. So that's where we'll pick up where your question started, is what do you expect? Well, when a patient comes into our office, we actually will wash their face. We take photos. We look at the undersurface of their skin so we can see all the damage that has been created from over the years. We can see sun damage. We can see redness. We can see those fine lines and wrinkles. Then after that, we take regular photos, and patients get really upset that we take so many photos, but really it's what is protecting the patient, and it's also protecting us. It's part of our medical record. And so we want to make sure that we are documenting everything, again, just in case something goes wrong, but also we forget what we look like. So we look in the mirror at ourselves all the time and you're like, ooh, I don't like that, or I don't like that. But then you look at your after photos and you actually see that either one, you haven't changed in 10 years, which is a good thing, or two, that some of the lines and wrinkles have improved. So that's the initial part. Those photos to me are so important. So if patients are going to a clinic that are not taking photos, I would walk out. I would not feel comfortable there, because it's really important to document this. Then after that, we go, well, obviously we talk about those photos and talk about all the different things that the patient would like to see improvement. And usually it's all of this type thing that patients want to improve. But in the end, we really talk about three things that we want to work on. And I have a philosophy that I use in my office, and it's skin plus body. So we break it down very simply for everybody. Skin is spelled a little differently. It's spelled S-C-I-N. So we always are going to talk about skincare, because the very, very least you want is a physical sunscreen to use on a daily basis. Then after skincare, we talk about collagen stimulation, which is going to help lift and tighten the skin. It's going to help with the fine lines and wrinkles, the dark circles under the eyes, so pretty much everything. But it's a very slow process to see any kind of change. So some people want that slow process. Some people want a quick fix, which takes us into injectables. And injectables mean, let's say, Botox, Dysport. Go ahead. Do you have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, it was a follow-up to Botox, because I saw something on the TikTok stuff that was like so alarming, and that was a 22-year-old that was saying that she was getting an absorbent amount of units. And I have no expertise on this at all. I am not a medical expert, but just to me, that didn't seem like that was the healthiest option for a 22-year-old to pursue.
Well, the interesting thing is that the average age of patients starting injectables is actually 24 years old.
Really?
It is.
Wow.
It is. And actually, that's probably an old statistic. I mean, that's been around since I started way back in 2008. So it could be 22 now. I don't know. So if you think about it as they're preventing wrinkles from happening.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they don't need as much as a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference.
That's what I was curious about, because, it wasn't the fact that really they were using it. It was just like they were saying just like like it was more than the 45-year-old that was at the same office. And I was like, whoa, I don't know if that's the right path here.
And I agree with that. And I think that's really important. I think that to know that every single patient is different, and we create treatment plans for every patient. So now there are averages that like the majority of the patients, my average patient does say, 20 units in the glabella, which is this area right here. So there are averages, and then we work, do a little less on some of the younger, do a little bit more on some of the older. But I find that people either had no results because they didn't have enough, because you do have to have enough treatment for it to work, or like you said, they've had way too much and they've had issues with the injectables.
Well, and that's what I'm so glad you came on and really wanted to talk about, because I think it's weird. It's a weird tie-in, but like solar, where there's so many misconceptions to the solar industry because of bad actors. And I think that's how it is with injectables and skincare, because there were so many bad actors, I think, that might have come in that really, I think, turned our conception on this really into a negative light, when quite frankly it shouldn't be, for me, for you to say, wrinkle prevention, and it makes sense for, people that are younger to do this, because they are preventing something further down the road whenever it does get there. Do you think that education and really just knowing and having these actual conversations could prevent so much of this from going wrong?
I think that education is the number one thing that has to happen in any conversation, whether it's on the website. If a patient's just looking, they have to be able to know what they're getting into, but also that first phone call and then coming in. And that's what I really do pride myself and my team on, is education. We take the time to make sure that the patients understand everything that can happen, and that it's not a one size fits all, or it's not one thing that the patient needs to do. So you mentioned doing some Botox, or we now have Daxify and Dysport. You do that to prevent wrinkles, but really just using, I use color science as our sunscreen will help to prevent wrinkles as well. It could be, you could even simplify it as much to say that it's a tinted moisturizer, but it does so much more for the skin. And that's why we choose those products.
Another thing I've noticed too is that when you go into some of these skincare offices around here, and I've been to a few of them, it seems like they're more reps for companies than skincare providers, if that makes sense. Where like I go in and it's not necessarily the formulas that really are the best out there. It's not that type of, medical grade stuff. It's really, the same type of stuff that you'd see at a mass store and a mass retail, and then maybe they get like a 10% kickback. Have you come across this at all with what you guys are seeing? Because to me, I think that's so dangerous too, because, I've had products that caused a lot of problems to my skin thinking, oh, this is going to help me. And just like every kid in high school, it strips all the oil off your face, and then you're in a deep, bit of trouble when it starts to build up. Right.
So using a skincare product that has a lot of science behind it is really important. And there aren't a whole lot out there, of these companies. There are companies, like you said, that say, oh, well, I'll do this and I'll do this, but there's no science to back it up. So we choose products that have a lot of research and development behind them, and have a lot of good studies, not just saying 1 in 10 people said, that this is going to happen, Right. And so I wrote a book, and I talk about products and ingredients so much, because it's not just about the product, it's about what the ingredients are. And you may say there, vitamin C is one of the things. It's really old school now, and it's a great product, but there are so many better products, more ingredients, I should say, that are out there. But what happens is you look at this long ingredient list, and a lot of times the ingredients don't play well together. Yeah. So you think that you are putting this great stuff on your skin, or taking it, because the end part is supplements and nutrition, and we do the same thing with our supplements, is we want a quality science-based product. So you have to have the ingredients that work well together, but also that stay active. because there are certain ingredients that as soon as you put them on your skin, they go away. And so what's the purpose? We're spending all this money on these products and these supplements, and they don't work. Or you mix it with something that is going to decrease its efficacy, so it's bad.
Well, and that's honestly, I just think that this is why it's so important, because we always look for those things and we see those deals where it's, go in and maybe get get treatment for half off or 15% off. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about too. Is it a little bit of a red flag to get, these huge discounts, like right off the top of it? Because I feel like you aren't going to know really what those prices are until after that first real consultation. I mean, yeah, you're going to know a little bit on the phone, but I mean, really knowing everything would be kind of like after or maybe even during that actual appointment.
And that's super important because a lot of people will ask for prices over the phone. Or like you said, you'll see this great deal. And the hard part is that you have to cater the treatment plan to each person. So I would love to be able to say, oh, yes, it's going to be $250,
right.
but you just can't do it because you don't know exactly what you need. So that's number one. That's super important. And then it's a huge red flag that they are discounting so much. And one of the things that I always say is, you get what you pay for. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of people come in and say, oh, that didn't work for me. Well, it's because they're undercutting them and they're not giving them the correct amount of injectable. Or, filler is important to talk about. To really get change, this is going to blow your mind probably, but to really get change, the average person needs about 4 to 6 syringes. Well, that sounds like a lot. See your face. Yeah. That sounds like a lot. But 5 syringes is 1 teaspoon. Full of product. So when people are using half syringes, that's another huge red flag. I hear it all the time. Oh, I only did a half syringe in my lip. Well, where's the other half going? And that's really scary to me. But the other thing is that a half syringe is, I can't even do the math on that. It's a teeny, minute amount of product, and you're not going to get anything out of it. So you're going through this whole treatment plan and you're getting nothing out of it anyway. So definitely discounting is not an appropriate thing to do in aesthetics. Now, the ones that do it are brand new. I'm going to go back to nurses. I'm sorry, nurses, because I know that, like I said, there are very good nurses out there. However, they think that to get patients, you must be inexpensive. And truly, it's quite opposite.
Right.
You really should go to a quality person who's going to charge you the right amount, not overcharge. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to make sure they're trained and they have experience and that they are the right person. It's your face. It is your face.
Well, it's no different than getting something done on your house. I mean, you aren't going to go to the roofer that's, maybe, your neighbor for $15 an hour. You're going to go and spend the money on an actual quality roofer because, when the storm comes, you want your roof to stay on your house.
Right. And you really, if you're going to go to to a heart surgeon, do you want to just go to some discount heart surgeon down the road? No, you're going to research it and you're going to look and you're going to find that person who has the most experience and the best results.
Well, and too, it's just going back to this, having your qualifications and going to that physician owned spa and having that, the guidelines and having that oversight. I'm sure too that you can see things maybe in someone's skin that, you need medical, eyes to maybe take a look at, especially, because a lot of people, love the tanning beds for so long. And I could only imagine how many times you maybe have picked up on maybe seeing a spot or something and letting them know, hey, I would go get that looked at. Am I right here? Because I honestly could just see that happening.
Absolutely. Yes. I've diagnosed a lot of skin cancers and send them on to the dermatologist to get treatment. So absolutely. So I think that is, it's important really in any field, really, like you think your hairdresser, truly, they should be trained on looking at any kind of things in your hair. Your dentist, these are the things that we are trained to do, and that's why it's so important to have that training and to have that experience. and know to a dermatologist and don't just overlook it and not pay attention to it. So agree.
And Dr. Jacobs, whenever, somebody's going down this process to maybe they're getting some filler, maybe they're, getting, those injections, what's that timeline look like? Because you hit on it a little bit earlier, and I wanted to kind of follow up with that because, we always want to impress everybody at the Thanksgiving or Christmas or holiday dinner table and look the best and all of that. But, I feel like sometimes that could be snake oil. How long sometimes do these processes take for maybe folks that want that overnight rapid transformation?
Well, the neuromodulators, so like our Botox, Daxi, and Dysport, those you can usually see results within a week's time.
Okay.
So those are just going to help the actual lines. Those are relaxing muscle. So it's not going to change the color of your skin. Now, Daxify is one of our newer products, and I absolutely love it. It has peptides in it, so it actually makes your skin glow a little bit more. And so that was my favorite product, and that you'll see a difference in honestly 2 to 3 days, which is pretty incredible. But when you are talking weddings, when you're talking things that are further down the road, you really need a year to start planning for all this if you want max results. Now, if you just want something quick, then 4 to 6 weeks prior to any really big event, you'll be able to get your the relaxing of the muscles. So the Daxi or Dysport or Botox, but then you can get your filler as well. It takes about a month for the filler to really integrate into the skin and to really settle and look the best that it's going to look. And then it's going to break down over time, obviously, so you don't want to go too far out. So that's why coming to a place that's going to educate you and who's going to give you all the pros and cons and all the ups and downs and ins and outs, and they're going to tell you, we are going to tell you what you need and when you need it.
Well, and Dr. Jacobs, before I let you go, is there anything going down at Ooh La La that you can fill us in on? Any, speaking of that, any Small Business Saturday or any of those type of promos that you guys do, or just any new services you're providing?
Well, we always have our membership, which is really the best way to get special throughout the year. And so I know we have some really great perks for signing up for membership right now. And it's getting some free skincare that can go along with it, because again, I believe in the whole picture and not just picking one modality. I like to do a big treatment plan, and giving that skincare is great. Now is the time to do our what we call BBL and Halo, and those are going to help treat the color, the discoloration of the skin. You can't have any sun on your skin, so that's the only positive of living in the Midwest when it's gray and cloudy outside. We don't get that sun. And so these are the times to do those kinds of treatments. So we have a lot of specials on those. Those are those collagen stimulation treatments I was talking about, but also those that help with the discoloration and can help to make your skin look so much better by the springtime. Besides that, one of the things that I did open up was my training center. Right. And so we talk about all of these people getting trained. And the reason I started that up was so that I could really have a hand in training other people, because I feel that passionately about making sure that people are trained and trained correctly.
Dr. Jacobs, it's always great talking to you, and I hope that you have a great holiday season, and I hope that you don't leave your damn house today. Stay in there. It's too cold.
Thank you so much for having me, and obviously I wish you the happiest holidays and Happy New Year as well. But I really appreciate getting to come on and talk. As you can tell, I love talking about this, and they can find all this information on our website, and then a little plug. My little book, everything we talked about is in the book. And so hopefully you have that link. And I just love what I do. And I'm very, very blessed to be able to do what I do.
We'll link everything too in a write-up on RiverBender.com. Dr. Jacobs, always great talking to you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
No problem. At 9:44, a quick break. Our daily show continues on this Monday right after this.